There are moments when God no longer whispers, he interrupts. And if your spirit has been restless, heavy, and strangely alert, this word is not random. It found you because heaven is calling your name. Chosen ones, stop everything and listen closely. This is not a casual message for background noise. This is not something to hear halfway while your mind is somewhere else. There are seasons when God allows silence, and there are seasons when he breaks through that silence like a trumpet in the dark. This is one of those moments. Your spirit has already felt it. You may not have had the language for it, but you felt the pressure shifting. You felt the atmosphere changing. You felt something inside you saying, "Pay attention, something is different now." For too long, you have been walking through questions with no visible answers. You have prayed, waited, cried quietly, and wondered whether heaven still remembered your name. But God is saying, "I never forgot you. I was not absent. I was arranging what you could not see." The delay was not abandonment. The silence was not rejection. The waiting was not punishment. It was divine positioning. But now, the warning has come because distraction has been fighting for your focus. The enemy knows he cannot cancel what God has already approved, so he tries to make you miss the moment when it arrives. He sends noise, fear, old memories, sudden emotional storms, and people who pull you back into the version of yourself God already delivered you from. But tonight, God is cutting through all of it. He is saying, stop explaining yourself to people who were never assigned to understand your calling. Stop returning to places where your spirit was suffocating. Stop begging for signs when your restlessness has already been the signal. Heaven is not trying to scare you. Heaven is trying to position you. Your assignment cannot wait much longer. Your next step matters. Your obedience matters. Your focus matters. Something is opening faster than you think, and God does not want you asleep when the gate begins to move. Chosen ones, understand why God is saying, stop everything. It is because distraction has been trying to steal your divine timing. The enemy does not always attack by destroying. Sometimes he attacks by exhausting you, scattering you, filling your mind with small emergencies so you have no strength left for holy instruction. He knows he cannot erase what God has written over your life, so he tries to make you too tired, too confused, or too emotionally tangled to recognize the door when it opens. This is why the warning feels urgent. God is not calling you into panic. He is calling you into position. There is a difference. Panic makes you run in circles, but positioning makes you stand where heaven told you to stand. You have been sensing that something is shifting, but the noise around you kept trying to convince you that nothing was happening. You wondered if you were only imagining it. You wondered if your spirit was just tired. But no, your spirit was discerning what your eyes could not yet prove. God is saying, stop, because your next step cannot be taken from an old mindset. You cannot carry fear into a season that requires authority. You cannot carry bitterness into a season that requires clean hands. You cannot carry the voices of people who doubted you into a place where God is about to reveal you. Some of you have been walking in circles around the same pain, the same relationship, the same disappointment, the same unanswered prayer. But tonight, that cycle is being interrupted. What looked like delay was God rerouting you. What looked like rejection was protection. What looked like loss was heaven removing what could not survive your next level. So breathe, be still. Let the urgency cleanse you, not crush you. God is not late. He is aligning everything at once, and your obedience is the key that keeps you from missing it. Chosen ones, God is saying stop, because acceleration requires focus. You have spent too many seasons measuring your life by delay, by waiting, by doors that did not open, by people who promised support but disappeared when the wait became real. You started counting time by what had not happened yet. But heaven is not measuring your life the way your pain has measured it. God is not bound by the calendar that made you feel behind. When he moves, years can be redeemed in a moment, and what looked impossible for a decade can suddenly unfold in one obedient step. But listen carefully. Acceleration is dangerous when your soul is still cluttered. You cannot move at the speed of divine favor while dragging old fear, old guilt, old conversations, and old wounds behind you. This is why the command is so sharp. Stop. Not because your life is ending, but because your old rhythm is ending. God is breaking the pace of survival off your spirit. He is teaching you how to move, not from anxiety, but from authority. Some of you have been rushing because you were afraid of being forgotten. Others have been standing still because disappointment made you afraid to try again. But tonight, God is correcting both. He is not asking you to panic forward, and He is not permitting you to hide backward. He is calling you into holy movement, the kind that begins with stillness and ends with breakthrough. The next season will require clear eyes. You must see opportunities where others see emptiness. You must see doors where others see walls. You must see instruction where others only hear interruption. Heaven is changing your lenses. What once looked like rejection will now reveal direction. What once looked like loss will now reveal protection. What once looked like silence will now reveal strategy. Chosen ones, the alert is also about cleansing. There are weights you have carried for so long that you began to call them part of your personality. The fear, the overthinking, the need to control every outcome, the habit of expecting disappointment before hope even has a chance to breathe. But God is saying stop, because those things cannot cross into the next place with you. They may have helped you survive the wilderness, but they will not help you steward the promise. There are memories that still speak louder than faith. There are betrayals that still try to define how much you trust. There are failures that still whisper your name at night, telling you that you are too late, too damaged, too inconsistent, too far behind. But heaven is interrupting those voices now. God is not bringing you into a new season so you can decorate it with old pain. He is calling you to lay the baggage down before the train starts moving. Think about Gideon. He thought he needed more to win, but God reduced the army until victory could only be explained by heaven. What looked like stripping was actually strategy. What looked like loss was divine precision. In the same way, God is removing what your flesh thought you needed, because your next victory must not be built on fear, approval, or human validation. This is why the urgency feels heavy. You cannot move forward with half surrender. You cannot ask for divine acceleration while still protecting the very chains God is trying to break. Tonight, release what expired. Release the old label. Release the old version of yourself that kept shrinking to keep others comfortable. God is making you lighter, sharper, cleaner, and more available for His instruction. The next door does not require more baggage. It requires more obedience. Chosen ones, God is also saying, stop, because He is protecting you from traps you cannot yet see. Some paths look harmless from the outside, but beneath them are delays dressed like opportunities, distractions dressed like relationships, and compromises dressed like open doors. This is why heaven had to interrupt you. Not every invitation is divine. Not every person who returns is sent by God. Not every sudden offer is a blessing. Some things appear at the edge of breakthrough only to pull you back into the cycle you just escaped. You were asking God why certain things felt blocked, but sometimes the block was mercy. You were frustrated because the door would not move, but God was guarding you from a room that looked bright and carried darkness. He saw the motives you could not see. He heard the conversations spoken behind your back. He knew which connection would drain your oil, which opportunity would steal your peace, which shortcut would cost your calling. Think of the Israelites at the Red Sea. Behind them was Pharaoh, in front of them was water, and all around them was panic. But God did not tell them to run. He told them to stand still and see His salvation. That pause was not weakness. It was the posture where the miracle opened. So stop moving from fear. Stop making decisions just because you feel pressured. Stop accepting crumbs because waiting made you hungry. God is parting a sea that your hands could never divide. If you rush, you may step into panic. If you listen, you will step into promise. This alert is not meant to freeze you. It is meant to protect your next step. Heaven is clearing the path, exposing the setup, and teaching you to move only when His peace says move. Chosen ones, urgency from heaven always comes before unveiling. God does not shake you awake for nothing. He does not interrupt your routine without purpose. When He says, stop everything, it means something hidden is about to be exposed, and you must be awake enough to recognize what is being revealed. For years, you have lived with fragments. You saw pieces, but not the full picture. You felt pain, but did not understand the assignment inside it. You saw rejection, but did not yet see the redirection. You saw delay, but did not yet see the protection. Now God is lifting the veil. But unveiling requires attention. If your heart is distracted, you may miss the answer you prayed for. If your mind is still attached to old assumptions, you may misread the blessing when it arrives. This is why heaven is commanding stillness. The next revelation will not only show you what is coming, it will also show you what was counterfeit. Some people who smiled around you carried hidden envy. Some opportunities that looked promising were quietly poisoned. Some doors that glittered were designed to drain your peace and separate you from your true assignment. God is not exposing these things to make you bitter. He is exposing them so you can walk free. Think of Joseph. Betrayal looked like the end, the pit looked like failure, and prison looked like delay. But when the unveiling came, every painful place was revealed as part of a divine road to authority. Chosen one, your story is not wasted either. The wound will explain the wisdom, the silence will explain the strength, the closed door will explain the protection. God is saying stop because the mask is about to fall, and when it does, you will finally understand why He did not let you settle. Chosen ones, the alert is also about alignment. Heaven has been arranging people, places, resources, and moments with a precision you could not see while you were grieving what did not work out. You thought certain delays meant nothing was moving, but God was positioning pieces behind the curtain. Some conversations were being prepared, some rooms were being opened. Some names were being spoken in places your feet had not entered yet. But alignment requires posture. If your spirit is restless, offended, distracted, or desperate, you may stand near the blessing and still fail to recognize it. This is why God is saying stop. He is realigning your steps with His order. You cannot keep forcing doors that heaven already closed. You cannot keep chasing people God already released from your future. You cannot keep trying to rebuild what He allowed to fall apart. Alignment does not come from striving, it comes from obedience. Think of Ruth. She did not know that one field would change her entire bloodline. She was not chasing recognition. She was not manipulating her way into destiny. She simply stayed faithful in the small instruction before her, and in that field, God aligned her with Boaz. What looked like ordinary labor became divine connection. What looked like loss became lineage. What looked like survival became inheritance. Chosen one, your field is being prepared too. The place may not look glamorous at first. The instruction may feel small. The step may seem too simple to matter. But when God is in the alignment, one step can carry generational weight. Stop resisting the quiet instruction because it does not look dramatic. Stop comparing your path to people who are not carrying your assignment. Heaven knows where you need to be, who needs to find you, and what door must open next. Your part is to obey with a steady heart. Chosen ones, the alert is also about authority. For too long, you have been living beneath the identity heaven placed on you. You have survived, but you were not created only to survive. You have endured, but endurance was never meant to become your permanent address. God is saying stop everything because He is calling you out of spiritual smallness. You cannot enter the next season timid, apologetic, and afraid of the power He placed inside your voice. There is a version of you that pain tried to bury. There is a confidence that rejection tried to silence. There is a boldness that disappointment tried to make you ashamed of. But tonight, God is waking it back up. Authority is not arrogance. Authority is agreement with what heaven already said. It is knowing that when God sends you, you do not need everyone to approve your steps. You do not need the crowd to understand the oil on your life. You only need obedience. Think of Peter at the gate called Beautiful. He did not have silver, he did not have gold, but he carried authority. And when he spoke in the name of Jesus, what had been lame for years began to rise. Chosen one, your voice also carries weight. Your prayers are not empty. Your declarations are not weak. Your obedience is not invisible. When you speak from alignment, atmospheres shift. This is why the enemy worked so hard to make you doubt yourself. If he could convince you that you were ordinary, you would never use what God placed within you. But that lie is breaking now. You are not powerless. You are not forgotten. You are not behind. You are being summoned into authority. Stop shrinking to make others comfortable. Stop hiding your fire because some people prefer your silence. God is placing His word in your mouth again, and this time you will speak with holy courage. Chosen ones, the alert is also about release. Some of you have been holding things God already called finished. Old pain, old conversations, old failures, old versions of people, old versions of yourself. You keep replaying what happened, not because you want to stay wounded, but because part of you is still trying to understand why it had to hurt that deeply. But God is saying stop, because understanding everything is not required for freedom. Sometimes release comes before explanation. You cannot receive what heaven is placing in your hands while your grip is still closed around what expired. The new season requires open hands. Open hands do not mean you were not hurt. Open hands mean the hurt no longer owns your direction. They mean you trust God enough to let go of what your flesh wanted to control. Think of Lot's wife. She was being delivered, but she looked back. Her body was moving forward, but her heart was still attached to what God was destroying. And that attachment froze her between the old and the new. Chosen one, this is your warning with love. Do not be physically present in your future while emotionally chained to your past. Do not keep turning your head toward what God already told you to leave. Some relationships were lessons, not destinations. Some closed doors were rescue, not rejection. Some endings were mercy wearing the face of loss. If you keep asking God to bless what He buried, you will delay the life He is trying to resurrect in you. Tonight, release the need to be understood. Release the need to prove who hurt you. Release the shame, the resentment, the fantasy of going back and fixing what was never meant to continue. God is not leaving your hands empty. He is emptying them so He can fill them with something greater. Chosen ones, the final alert is about recognition, foundation, and readiness. God is not only opening doors for you, He is preparing you to stand correctly when those doors open. Many people pray to be seen, but they are not ready for the weight of being revealed. Many ask for influence, but their spirit still aches for approval. Many ask for abundance, but their foundation is still cracked by fear, pride, or insecurity. This is why God said, stop everything. Before He elevates you publicly, He must strengthen you privately. You were hidden for a reason. Heaven did not cover you because you were forgotten. God hid you because what He placed inside you was too valuable to be exposed too early. The silent season was not punishment. It was protection. The lonely season was not abandonment. It was construction. Stone by stone, lesson by lesson, wound by wound, He was building a foundation that could carry the blessing without collapsing beneath it. Now, the covering is lifting. People who ignored you will begin to notice what they once overlooked. People who dismissed your voice will search for the wisdom that came from your wilderness. People who thought you were finished will see that God was only preparing you in secret. But remember this, recognition is not for ego, it is for assignment. The light on your life is not meant to make you untouchable, it is meant to make you useful. So stand steady, keep your heart clean, keep your ears open, keep your obedience immediate. Do not run back to what God delivered you from. Do not shrink when He calls you forward. The delay is breaking. The doors are opening. The old cycle is ending. Heaven has issued the alert because your appointed time is no longer somewhere far away. It is standing in front of you now.